President, please be seated. The chamber is now back in session. Good morning, Mr. Sausarun. Are you ready? Answer, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready. President, thank you, Mr. Sausarun. And now I hand the floor over to the Defense Counsel for Nuon Chea to resume questioning.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hello again, Mr. Witness. Let me revisit something I discussed with you before the break. You remember that I read to you an excerpt from Radio Phnom Penh about Vietnamese aggression and Vietnamese espionage, etc. Let me continue with this by making it a little bit more specific in relation to yourself. I have in front of me, Mr. Witness, 2 telegrams that you yourself wrote. In 2012, you've been asked some questions about this, and you acknowledged that you were indeed the author of these 2 telegrams. Mr. President, I'm referring respectively to E3/937 and E3/1072. These are only one-page documents. Mr. Witness, let me start by discussing with you the first telegram you wrote. It's a telegram to a respected brother. You wrote it on the 23rd of April 1978. It was discussed briefly yesterday in relation to SOT, but I would like to discuss with you the first paragraph of that document, E3/937. It says, you write the following, and I quote you, about the situation of the outside enemy. Yun spies entered the division location in Te municipality on 20 April 1978. They came and have been conducting reconnaissance until 21-22 April, for 3 days now. We have organized a force to look for them, but have not found them. We only saw the trail of entry. According to the examination of the trail, they have not yet left. They are continuing their reconnaissance activity to search for our locations. End of quote. And the next day, you write a telegram again to respected brother, and then you say about the enemy situation, that is E3/1072. At 1 o'clock at night, on 23 April 78, the Yun enemy attacked the division office in Te town for about 6 or 7 minutes. We attacked them vigorously. Based on our examination, some of them were wounded. Mr. Witness, first of all, do you remember having written this in your telegram? An attack by Vietnamese forces in Te municipality.
Yes, that's correct. I wrote that telegram. But we received the news about the attack from the division. So it was the division.
And who from the division reported this to you?
They sent the report to us through telegram. It was the division commander who sent the telegram to me.
Now, is that the sector division commander, or is it the division 920 commander who informed you about the Vietnamese attack?
Division 100 correction, Division 920 reported to other battalions and to us.
Well, it is my understanding, but please correct me if I'm wrong, that Division 920 was a center division, and that Division 920 reported directly to the General Staff. When you were informed by Division 920, did you, in your capacity, also report the same incident to the center?
Yes, we made reports.
When you send your reports to the center, how did you use the information that Division 920 gave to you? Did you make a selection? Did you make a summary of the things they told you? How exactly did you draft or compose these two telegrams? On the basis of which information?
We summarized the events related to the UN's attack. So it was just a brief report.
And am I to understand that Division 920 gave a much more detailed report on this Vietnamese attack? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
As I just said before the break, I read an excerpt to you from Radio Phnom Penh describing all kinds of acts of Vietnamese aggression. This report, as indicated, or this radio broadcast was early March '78. The Vietnamese attack that you describe in those two telegrams, is that an example of the Vietnamese aggression discussed in the Radio Phnom Penh broadcast?
We made reports based on the practical situation. And we sent the report to Phnom Penh.
I understand, but the Radio Phnom Penh broadcast of March 78 speaks about continuous encroachments along the border and the entering of DK territory and sending spies, etc. The incident that you describe in your two telegrams, are these incidents examples of what Radio Phnom Penh describes?
We sent a report to Phnom Penh, and the radio station broadcasted about when the attack occurred, and I did not know in details about what happened at the upper level because we just concerned about what's happened on the ground.
Now, Mr. Witness, we don't have many telegrams that were composed by you, only very few. The incident that you described, the attack by Vietnamese troops of the division location, was that something that occurred frequently? Did that occur on a daily basis? Let's say between March 76 and April 78. How often did Vietnamese troops enter Democratic Kampuchea territory?
Yes, there were frequent encroachment along the border. And from the base of Division 920 to the border, it was far away. It was about 40 kilometers away. And at some border points, there were severe fighting. And they attacked the base of Division 920. And as I told you, from the base of Division 920 to the border, it was about 40 kilometers.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now I understand that it is not possible for you to have a look at those telegrams because of your eyesight. You've also indicated that you did not use the words Uncle Noon or Uncle Van or Uncle Vorn that you can see on those telegrams. And that you usually referred to either respected brother or beloved brother. Is that correct? Did you write all your telegrams only to respected brother, that you did not use a name?
Yes, that is correct.
Have you ever seen in any telegram, any contemporaneous document, the words brother number 1 or brother number 2?
Yes, I saw.
Can you
It was the division level that addressed as brother number one, brother number two.
What exactly do you mean when you answer it was a division level?
Yes, when the people at the division level sent letters to people at the top, they address the receivers as brother number one, brother number two.
Did you address Pol Pot and Nuon Chia and Von Vet or Ing Sari or Son Sen with did you refer to them as respectively Om Noon, Om Van, Om Vorn, or did you use numbers?
I never address them as Von Vet or Van. I address only to Nuon Chia and a few others. I never send letter to Von Vet.
Do you? We all know who Brother 89 is. That is Son Sen. Do you know who Brother 81 or Brother 87 is?
No, I do not know them.
My final set of questions to you, Mr. Witness, and that is about the meeting that you attended in 1975, 1 or 2 or 3 weeks after the liberation of Phnom Penh. You were asked already many questions about this, so I will not repeat those questions. Your testimony is clear on this. There is one thing that I would like to expand on, and that is the following. You also said that during the 75 meeting, either Pol Pot or Nuon Chia indicated that at one point in time money would be used again and that the people who had just been evacuated would return to Phnom Penh. Is that something you recall saying?
Yes, as I said, it was like that.
Now, did either Nuon Chia or Pol Pot give any details as to when exactly money would be brought back into circulation again?
During the meeting in Phnom Penh, he said so. He made such announcement about the recirculation of money.
But did any of them say when they were thinking of reintroducing money again?
He said that money would be reintroduced in 1980.
And now the return of the people. Just to be clear, Mr. President, I'm referring to Trial Day 70 on 6th of June 2012 at 13:42. The witness says, he talks about the meeting and he says, and later on they declared that the people would be brought back into the city and the money would be put back into circulation. Now, Mr. Witness, did either Nuon Chea or Pol Pot say when they would envisage that people could return again to Phnom Penh? Was that also 1980 or was it much earlier? Do you know? Did they say that or did they not make any reference?
He announced that starting from early 1980, people would be repopulated in the city and money would also be reintroduced.
And what about markets?
Yeah, he also touched on that issue, that market would be reopened. But yeah, and vegetables were also sold in the area near Central Market, but the market at that time was not as big as right now.
My final question, Mr. Witness, in relation to this meeting, there seems to be a bit of a confusion as to the exact location of this meeting. Some say it was close to the Olympic Stadium, others say it was close to Borei Kala. Can you give us a little bit more details as to the exact location of this meeting a few weeks after the liberation of Phnom Penh on 17 April 75?
We were invited to the meeting at the Soviet school after the 17 April 1975 liberation.
That's indeed what you said, but was there also maybe some kind of meeting preceding that meeting, but a meeting at the Olympic Stadium, or was there no such meeting right after the liberation of Phnom Penh?
There was one meeting after the liberation, and that meeting took place at Olympic Stadium. Cadres from districts throughout the country were called to that meeting.
So, right after the liberation, there were several meetings. One of them was in the Cambodian Soviet Friendship School, and one at the Olympic Stadium, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And my final question, do you know the present chairman of the National Assembly, Heng Samrin?
No, I did not know him.
So, let me rephrase. You don't know him now, or you didn't know him then?
I did not know him at that time because there were so many attendees at that time.
During any of those meetings, did you ever hear the leaders who were addressing the cadres talking about former Lon Nol military, that former Lon Nol military should be spread, the word Komchat might have been used in relation to former Lon Nol military. Is that something that sounds familiar to you?
No, I did not hear that. I only heard that people had to be organized to do farming. I did not hear the word get rid of them.
Was there any discussion of what should happen with the defeated army of Lon Nol and its members? Was there any discussion at all, either at the meeting at the Cambodian Soviet School or at the Olympic Stadium? Do you recall anything?
No, I did not hear about that. I only heard that people had to be organized to do farming, and that was what I heard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. Thank you, Mr. President.
President, the floor is now given to the defense team for Mr. Kiew Sompon to put questions to this witness. You have the floor now.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Sao Sarun. My name is Anta Gise. I am International Co-Counsel for Mr. Kiew Sampan, and I have a few questions for you. To the extent that the chamber has summoned you, you have already been interrogated extensively as part of case 002/01, and the chamber questioned you regarding the Kram Krau Security Center. So I will focus my questions on that security center. I have understood from your testimony that at a point in time you were district secretary, and also for some months before the arrival of the Vietnamese, you were secretary of Sector 105. My question to you is whether, as part of your duties, you are aware of the existence of a security center called the Phnom Krau Security Center.
Answer, yes, I heard about that there were security guards at Phnom Krau.
Est-ce que vous savez où était situé ce centre?
Do you know where that security center was situated and who was in charge of it?
Answer, I am not sure in relation to the tasks performed by the security center. So I had no idea who was first in charge of that security center.
Un certain nombre de noms étaient évoqués.
A number of names were given by you and other witnesses before this chamber. I would like to know whether you knew their functions at the time. You talked of a person called Sophia. Can you tell the chamber what his position was in Sector 105?
Answer. So Pierre was the member of the sector committee and in charge of the security.
Quand vous dites qu'il était responsable de...
When you say that he was in charge of security, what were his precise functions?
He was that individual was in charge of soldiers. He or she was part of army. That individual was reassigned and then became a member of a sector committee.
Et vous avez évoqué à un moment...
At a point in time, you talked of the presence of Tassan and his role in Division 920. Do you know whether Division 920 worked hand in hand with Sophia, or whether each person had separate activities?
Answer. They worked together. They cooperated with one another in terms of the military tasks and affairs. Usually reports would be communicated to one another.
Un témoin qui s'appelle...
One witness called Bunleng Choi, who testified just before you, gave the name of your junior brother Meng, saying that, and let me point out that he said during the proceedings that he heard what he said from third parties through hearsay evidence, that Meng played a role in the arrest of prisoners and other persons. Do you know whether your brother, your junior brother Meng, had any role to play in the arrest of persons?
Answer. To my knowledge, his role was to protect the border, and he was the deputy of the 1st Regiment. And later on in 1978, he was told to come and protect the city. And I do not know about the tasks you described, which had something to do with him. And although he was my younger relative, I did not know at the time he had a role to play in relation to the arrests. I did not try to hide what he was doing, but what I witnessed at the time and what I knew from the time, I would answer your questions.
Vous dites qu'il était adjoint du...
You state that he was the deputy of the 1st Regiment. Can you tell us who the secretary of the regiment was, the 1st Regiment was?
In fact, it was not a regiment, but it was the battalion. He was the deputy commander of battalion, and there were only 2 battalions in Mondulkiri.
Et quel était le nom du chef de...
And what was the name of the commander of that battalion, if you do remember?
His name was Vieng. He is already deceased.
Vous avez parlé tout à l'heure de Sopi.
A while ago, you talked of Sophia. Do you know where his office at the time was situated? Did he have an office? And if yes, what was the name of that office?
No. His office was in the location of a sector at Phnom Krau.
Est-ce que le nom de K11 vous rappelle?
Does the name K11 ring a bell to you?
Answer. I heard K11. It was situated to the east of Ojaba.
Et est-ce que vous savez si K11...
And do you know whether K11 was Sopia's office?
Answer. That's correct.
Vous avez évoqué avec...
In fact, it is my confusion. K11 was situated close to Phnom Krau, not to the east of Ojba.
Il n'y a pas de souci, les...
No problem. The events occurred a long time ago. At a point in time, you made mention of K17 office. Do you agree with me that you went to that office from time to time when you worked as secretary of Sector 105?
Answer. I could not get your question clearly. Could you repeat it?
Je vais essayer de la simplifier.
Let me simplify it. K17 is an office that you knew. Did you know that office? And whose office was it?
Answer. That was the sector's office.
Répondant à monsieur...
In answer to a question put to you yesterday by the co-prosecutor, you stated that, and I believe you were talking of Leng. I stand corrected if I am wrong. Was Leng still the head of this sector whose office you went to, and in which office you saw 3 persons being detained? Did I properly understand your testimony?
To my observation, I am now telling the truth. I was invited to perform duties there once in a while. I did not see at the time people were arrested and detained at K17 while I was working and invited to perform my duties, some of my duty at their location.
Alors, je ne sais pas si c'est moi qui ai mal compris.
I don't know whether I'm the person who didn't understand what you said. I believe you mentioned 2 persons yesterday, persons you saw and who were in detention. Can you clarify that point, please?
Answer. In fact, 2 or 3 prisoners were detained at a security center, but no prisoners were detained at K17. That was what I said yesterday.
J'ai mal compris, je suis...
I misunderstood, and I am sorry. Can you tell us where that security center in which you saw the 2 or 3 persons detained was located?
No, that was close to K17. It was about 200 meters apart.
Est-ce que vous pouvez décrire ce centre de...
Can you describe that security center that you saw to us?
When I was at that location, 2 or 3 prisoners or people were detained, and later on they were kept for a while, and after that they were released. And I was there working as normal, as usual.
Et est-ce que vous pouvez préciser à quelle période?
And can you specify when that incident occurred? During what period was that?
Answer: it was in 1977 and 78. In fact, I was visiting at that location. There were 2 or 3, 4 or 5 inmates, and they were working as usual.
Et savez-vous qui était en charge de ce centre de sécurité?
And do you know who was in charge of that security center?
Answer: Talane had overall supervision.
Et savez-vous s'il a été remplacé par la suite?
Do you know whether he was replaced by someone else thereafter?
I cannot recall. It happened a long time ago. Who came to replace him thereafter? I cannot recall all the details. Who came to replace him afterward?
Taleng était un militaire, n'est-ce pas?
Taleng was a soldier. Isn't that correct?
No, he was sector chief, and he had overall supervision of army. At the time, the sector usually had the authority over the soldiers, so Tasapir was also under his supervision.
D'accord, mais...
Very well. But do you know whether this security center you saw was administered by soldiers?
Answer: correct.
Et c'était des soldats du secteur?
And were those soldiers from the sector?
Yes, they were from sector. They were part of sector.
Toujours à propos du...
Still, with regard to the witness I referred to earlier, Bun Leng Choi, he made mention of a wave of arrests in Mondulkiri, and he explained that
When I was in Mandalgiri, I never heard the name, the individual by the name Bun Leng Choi.
C'est possible, je ne sais pas si ma prononciation est correcte.
I do not know whether I'm pronouncing it correctly. Yes, my colleague says I'm pronouncing it correctly. It is possible that you have never seen that witness, but I am informing you that that witness testified before this chamber, and he indeed said that he knew you, and he referred to a number of arrests and explained the following. He explained that there was a problem of reprisals, and it's at the hearing on the 29th of March 2016, somewhat after 10 hours 03 and 49 seconds, and this is what he stated, free translation. Allow me to tell the chamber that vengeance between these two groups of persons took place. There were indeed acts of vengeance. Kampun's network had fought against Leng because his network had killed his son, and his son's name was Kam. Kampun was initially arrested, and Noin was the chief of his office. Noin was introduced in the ranks of the party by Kasi. End of quote. Free translation. So my question to you is whether you are aware of problems between two groups and acts of vengeance between Kampun's network that fought against Leng's network.
Answer, I do not know about the vengeance between them. I do not really understand at all. That was complicated issue. I was at Pichada, and I had nothing to do with the vengeance between the two groups about the arrest of the child of that individual. I do not really understand at all. I had nothing to do with that kind of incident. I was at the district performing merely my duties and my roles.
Encore une fois, pour vous permettre.
Once more, in order to be able to react, since that witness mentioned your name at 10 hours 8 and 20 seconds, still in the hearings of the 29th of March 2016, this is what Bun Leng Choi said. And let me point out that somewhat later he explained that he heard those things through rumor and hearsay. That is what I wanted to point out to you. This is what he states, free translation. Arrests occurred after Hum and Kampun, given that senior cadres had been arrested. Sarun, that is you, and Sophia were those in charge, but Sophia had not yet been arrested at the time. But I do not know who took the decision at the time. Was it Tasarun or someone else? I am unable to confirm that. From what I was able to hear, there was a committee meeting because such a decision could not have been taken by a single person. So it was therefore a collegial decision taken by all the members of the committee. However, we can attribute responsibility for decision making to senior cadres of the committee. End of quotes, free translation. Let me point out that at 10 hours 10 and 42 seconds, the witness specified that it was rumor and hearsay, but I wanted to read out his statement to you so that you may react to it.
Answer, I do not know the individual Bun Leng Choi who used to be in Mandalgiri. As for the issue of arrests, I am telling the truth. I am not hiding something. I am telling the truth. before the chamber. I do not know about the arrest. When I was at the district, they had meetings. And so Pierre from 920 may have participated in the meeting, and I myself was at the district. I do not know about the arrest. I am not telling lies. I am telling the truth out of my heart. President, Mr. Sao Sarun, the name is Chan Bun Lut. He was the deputy chief of Khao Sima district, and he used to be a guard. Answer: I do not know that individual Chan Bun Lu either, or Chan Lung Choi.
Un dernier point.
Last point, to be sure whether this would refresh your memory. You gave an interview to investigators from the OCIJ document E3/383, and I would like to read out an excerpt of that document to see whether it will refresh your memory. And it is on the last page of your interview record. The ERN in French is 00361 766. ERN in English is 00350 266. And ERN in Khmer 00345 915. And these are the last questions and answers that are relevant. So the question that was put to you at the time was as follows: were there any cases of arrest when you consulted with the center and the center ordered them sent to Phnom Penh? And your answer was as follows: there were no such cases when I was on the sector committee. Next question: therefore, did you ever send people to any security offices within the sector? And your answer was as follows: when I was on the sector committee, there were only releases. Question: did you consult with the center before releasing them? Answer: no, I did not. That was my right. And last question: do you know the location of any security offices? Answer: Tumnup Phnom Krao Security Office was under the charge of Sophia, the sector military chairman, who later became the sector security chairman. Vieng was Sophia's successor. V-I-E-N-G. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. Vieng was the commander of Battalion/Regiment 1. Vieng's other aliases included Kam and Run. End of quote. So my question to you is as follows: does this excerpt of your interview with the co-investigating judges, something that refreshes your memory, and do you confirm whether you had authority to release prisoners without seeking the opinion of the Central Committee? That is my first question.
Answer: I came to work, and that the detention happened since the time of Talang. Talang had already deceased when I was there, so there was no reason that the detention should continue to take place. And then I made a report up the line. And that was from my heart. There was no reason to detain. The issue was related to the family's internal affairs between spouses. So why the arrest and detention should take place during the long time? And that report was made about the issue. And usually, kitchen utensils were used on a daily basis, so it is unavoidable that they were broken. So it was a very unbelievable reason, and I at the time decided to intervene and to set free that individual. And later on, I made a report up the line about the release of that individual, and the upper echelon or my superior agreed to my decision to release.
Alors, en français, j'entends.
In French, I heard that you are talking of just one person, the person concerned. But my question covered more, that is in this light of statement E3/383. In that statement, you said that you did not need the opinion of your hierarchy and that you had the authority to release persons without reporting to anyone whatsoever. Can you clarify this point and specify whether you were talking of only one person? And let me stop here. I will make another remark later. Can you clarify this point? In the record of your interview, which is different from what you are stating today, that is what you told the co-investigating judges.
Answer. I set free one after another, many of them, not one person. And one group of people were released first, and later on it was time for other groups. And after the release, I made and sent a report to the upper echelon, and the upper echelon did not react negatively on the issue.
Et dans
And in your previous answer, you explained that you were dealing with intra-family issues. So can you specify what you mean by that exactly?
I want to say that regarding wedded couples, what occurred within the families regarding small arguments, for example, I treated those family matters as small things. Based on my practice at that time, after I questioned them and then I released them because I did not consider those matters as big matter. So I released them all. because what occurred within their families were not considered as big offenses.
And this will be my last question. When you're speaking about the Phnom Krau Security Center and about Sophia's successor, Veng, does that refresh your memory?
Yes, I remember the person named Sophia. He was the chief of the battalion.
My question was focused more on his successor, Veng. Vaeng. I apologize once again for my pronunciation, but does that ring a bell as Sophia's successor, as the person who was in charge of security?
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. President, I am done with my questions, and we have no further questions in the Kisopon defense team.
President, thank you. The chamber would like to express our thanks to Mr. Sausarun as a witness, and your testimony today come to an end. Your testimony may contribute to the ascertaining of the truth. And now, as your testimony come to a conclusion, you can have a rest, and we would like to give you all the best wishes. And the chamber also would like to thank the Duty Council for your contribution to this. And the chamber also would like to the officer, Mr. Samnang, who assisted with the audio visual link. And now you can all have a rest. Before we have a lunch break, the chamber rule over the oral ruling related to the prosecutor's request for adding one more witness to give testimony regarding the Phnom Krau Security Center, and that is document E390.
The request concerned the witness in relation to Phnom Krau E390. And the request was to hear the witness 1017. The chamber has heard submission and responses of party in relation to request on Monday, 28 March 2016. And the vessels communicate to the chamber that vessel could not contact 2TCW 1017. And based on the family and neighbors, that witness 2TCW 1017 has moved to live permanently in Thailand. The youngest sibling of 2TCW 1017 said first that he or she did not have the resident address of his or her sister, and later on the telephone number and the address was found, and vessel was trying to communicate to 2TCW 1017 by telephone number, and vessel could not contact that individual because there is no detailed information. in relation to the request of to Thai government may take some time, and the result is not possibly known. The chamber is no position to receive any information sufficiently about 2 TCW 1017. The chamber therefore rejected the request of in relation to the call of that individual 2 TCW 1017. The court is now take a lunch break and will resume at 1:30. This afternoon, the chamber will start to hear 2 TCW 2 CCP 1016. Security personnel are instructed to bring Mr. Kyu Sompon to the waiting room, and please have him return in the courtroom in the afternoon before 1:30. The court is now in recess.